Thank you very much for the occasion to speak. It's a great pleasure for me. I will use all the time because the time is very precious here. And I would like to say some essential, let's say, issues about the subject. So the problem of the words, if we are using the term transhumanism in the sense of the transfiguration of our Lord, no problem with us, because in this meaning we are agree with this kind of perspective, theological perspective. But the transhumanism or the posthumanism do not use the terms in the same way. So when we are talking about post-humanism, after humanism, let's say, that cannot take into account the actuality of the presence of Jesus Christ, our Lord, in the middle of the humanity. So post for us does not represent something, because the actuality of Jesus Christ is for now and forever. So I will try to start my presentation. So, a theological perspective on human and reality enhancement, and you have the title that you find also this title written in the programs. Should our Christian Orthodox Anthropology change under the pressure of recent NBIC developments? The word pressure has all his full meaning. So there are 7 steps here. I will follow the steps. We'll climb together on the 7 steps. We have the context. So there are very important advances in the nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, and cognitive science. So we call them together NBIC. So it's a sort of revolutionary, let's say, new expectations about the human. That means also the temptation, I use especially the word temptation, to redefine what we consider to be human. It's not our proposal, but we find this kind of proposal in our society. So we can ask ourselves, because there are some thinkers that think about this in terms of changing the era. So we were in the era, let's say, Anthropocene of the human, and we changed for other one that could be the era of hyper-intelligence. I make a parenthesis here. In the mind of several scientific persons, the intelligence is very important, a central position, because it's the difference between human and animal, for instance. We have the ChatGPT and the sort of crisis. It could be seen like this. AI appears now to touch the essence of the recent history. And for several persons, they can imagine also that the AI could be very important, essential, also for the development of the human being for the next year. So I quoted several materials, several articles, so you can find. I will not read exactly what you have on the screens. You can do it, but I have to add some extra information. So the problem with AI now is that in the, let's say, industrial and in the entrepreneurial medium is a sort of rude competition. So all the people has to take into account the presence of AI, because if not, is a problem with survive in order to survive in the economical context. So I'm quoting Dr. Laurent Alexandre from France. So he is imagining that with the AI we have no choice in order to avoid this, because it's so important, so we have to take it into consideration. generally speaking, science is not neutral to anthropology. So here you have a historical figure. It's Erwin Schrödinger, a Nobel laureate. So in the introduction of his book, Quantum Physics and World Representation, he attempted to describe the state of physical science in his time. And in his opinion, science was a constitutive element of humanism, as an, I'm quoting, effort made by humans to understand their own situation. So when we are speaking today about anthropology, about human being, we have to see also in the science that the scientific, very important persons think about the anthropology because the science is related to anthropology. Today, the science gives a strong influence on the constitution, let's say, of the human being. You have an example here, a sort of discovery today that can question us in a strong manner. Human enhancement is a sort of doctrine of ideology and also a movement, let's say, because they try to develop several possibilities that are beyond the normality. So, for instance, the use of technological or biomedical interventions, such as various forms of genetic engineering, genome editing, neurotechnology, wearable devices, medications, is not only designed to address the different consequences of current disease, but also aims to improve or augment human beyond what is considered normal and natural. So human enhancement, that means what is beyond the natural possibilities. When we are talking about reality enhancement that exists, we can see, for instance, there are two main directions. Augmented reality is an interactive human experience that make together the real world and the computer-generated content. And the virtual reality is other thing. It's an advanced technology that creates a computer-generated three-dimensional environment. So both of them try to enhance the reality around us. Where are the problems? So you can read, you can think about. I can suggest several ideas. So we are in the position to have a diminished relation with the reality around us, because we are combining the reality with something that is imagined through the technological devices. We have a sort of new romanticism, let's say. That means a sort of escape from the reality. We have the tendency to escape from the reality for a virtual reality that could be more interesting for us comparing with the reality. And also, the artificial, let's say, is something that could not be in the intimacy, let's say, relation, human relation, because everything is artificial, cannot be inside our feeling, deep feeling of the reality. I also make a parenthesis here. You imagine that the nature, for instance, in the theology of Dumitru Stăniloae, for instance, the nature around us, the reality, we are reading the reality in order to discover God, you know. But if we are around us, we have also or a sort of combination between real and virtual reality, our possibility to have this kind of lecture, reading of the reality and to find God will diminish. The most important for us is that the result. You see the faces from here, for instance, there are artificial faces. They do not exist as person. New technologies, new possibilities, new humans, question. So the challenge for us today, this is the problem, the real problem, is the, let's say, they are trying, so the philosophers of this kind of projection, they are trying the modification of our biological humanity. So the challenge for us is in an anthropological way. So there are a lot of thinkers that they develop kind of terms. For instance, because we discussed yesterday about immortality, immortality, just you have to have the difference, the fundamental difference between the two of them. So the Christian immortality, that means we are passing through the death to the resurrection. The other one tries with all the possibilities to make eternal, let's say, our condition from now, which is a sinful condition. So is exactly what we do not want to have, because the resurrection is the solution of our humanism, and our humanism is Christocentric, let's say. Enhancement versus deification. You know, and we understand very well, that the solution is a divine one, because Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came in this world in order to help us to have our proper deification. So the fulfillment of the humankind lies in its deification, which reflects the potential of the divine image within each person, the inner structure that God himself gave. So through the divine grace, we gain the ability to taste and experience now intimacy with the living God. Contemporary cultures, captivated by the exceptional scientific, technological advances, seem preoccupied with exponentially expanding possibilities and exploitation of the physical world. The horizon of technological pursuits focuses on a life experience here and now, potentially extendable as such, so the same in time, rather than recognizing life as a foretaste of the fullness to come. So this is the difference. So there are some terms that could be identical, but the fundamental of the doctrine is different. So I talk about this. So if you want an image, you imagine Peter walking on the waves on the sea. This is divine and human cooperation. And you imagine Peter swimming with an exoskeleton, let's say, in order to do the job. You know, this is the difference between the two proposals. Conclusions. The autonomy is the best solution for the robots, but for the human being, the communion is the best solution, or theonomy, if you want. Okay? So, as conclusion, the ecclesial life reveals us that the human project does not essentially belong to humans. It has divine origin and demands not only human, but also divine fulfillment. We have not decided ourselves to come to existence, but we have in him, who is the only that has in himself the cause of his existence, the cause and the sense of our existence. So in this consideration, the human being is so important and loved by God that his own eternal Son became human through his incarnation in order to heal forever the human condition and to help us in the way towards our fulfillment. And I'm finishing now. So the technology is address to some, let's say, part of the human that is not sufficiently deep inside. The mystery is escaping. The mystery of the man and the mystery of the universe are escaping when we are treating only from a point of view of the technological possibilities. So our anthropology is sustained by God's will. It is revealed and it is accomplished into the real human person of Jesus Christ. So, I'm finished here, the actuality of the presence in the history of our Lord Jesus Christ is full. So, when we are using post-humanism, that cannot say something very serious for us because of this actuality of the humanity of Jesus Christ lived in this very moment, in the middle of the humanity. So post, that cannot give us very much. And trans, just remember this, if we are talking about the humanism in the sense of the transfiguration of Jesus Christ, it could be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you.